What is up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle for the next episode in our Patreon supported series. That's right, the Patreon supporters got us all nice and booted up with some donations, and so you got this series as a reward, the weekend review series where you and I hang out for a little while. We're going to talk about the way the channel's going, where things are kind of operating, and what I'm looking at as we go into the future, although probably not so much on that last point. I'm kind of trying to play my cards close to my chest right now, mostly because I really have no plans. At the moment, the channel's just kind of like I keep uploading stuff, but unfortunately, indie gaming is kind of dead right now. There's not a lot of games coming out anytime soon. I mean, December's looking very, very empty. Not a lot of things in December that are looking good. January, about most of the way through January, is where it looks like it's going to start to pick up again, and we're going to have like 4 to 5 major releases. Looking forward to that, but things are so slow right now. It's just like, wow. I keep looking at the Steam reviews. I keep looking at like itch.io. There's lots and lots of websites you can look at to find indie games that are coming out. And it's just like nothing is happening, and so I'm constantly feeling like I'm backpedaling, trying to figure out what I want to do with the channel. It's one of the first times ever in like 3 or 4 years that I've ever sat down and just been like, I don't know what I want to put on the channel. Like, there is really nothing that's coming out, and since I'm a new release channel, it's kind of like, a little scary, but everything's going to work out. I think it's going to be okay. At the moment, we got the Long Dark running. So in the Long Dark, I feel like our playthrough is in a really, really good spot. I'm stuck between like 2 minds right now, though. And so as the episodes go along, you haven't seen it yet, but we're going to get to a point where we got to decide whether we want to go to a new map or whether we want to stay on the one that we're currently on. And the problem with that is that the base that we currently have has tons of loot inside of it. Like, we are good to go. We don't really have to leave for probably a good 30 or 40 I think 30 or 40 days of in-game time. We should be able to just hang out there and eat food and sleep, and it should be a great way to inflate our score. However, that doesn't make for incredibly amusing gameplay. And so anyways, at the moment, I'm trying to figure out a way where we can either go to Desolation Point, maybe strike out and do small scouting missions or something like that, or, you know, just trying to find a way to spruce up the gameplay, because as of right now, I feel like we've kind of hit a point where we have way too much stuff. There's not really any challenge left in the game. We just have so many things. It's just like, okay, we can go search more sites, and we can bring back more canned food. We can hunt a little bit more, but we're sitting at something like 30 bullets or something like that. We have an insane amount of food. Seriously, like 30, 40 cans of food on top of probably 20, 30 kilograms of meat that we're just eating. There's more water than we know what to do with. I have tons and tons of firewood. And so anyways, I am having fun, though. The thing that I like about the game is the exploratory aspects. I'm having a blast exploring the game. It really, really is quite fantastic the way that they've made everything linked together. And so every time I think I'm heading into just like a random little mine or something, I end up finding some random leg that takes you into a new zone. And then you got to decide, like, Jesus, do I want to go into that zone and take a look around? I don't know what threats are out there. And honestly, I don't know what's in Desolation Point. I think there's 2 maps we haven't hit yet. We've done Mystery Lake. We've done Coastal Highway. We get to the Desolation Point pretty soon, but I kind of balk at going in, and then there's also, like, the Hidden Valley or something like that, where they got all the ranch dressing or whatever. And so there's the 2 maps that we haven't even looked at just yet. Supposedly, those are the 2 that are, like, the most dangerous and get you in the most trouble. Like, the biggest population of canines, the most terrible weather, all that kind of stuff. And so anyway, I would like to take a look at the maps and at least scout them out before we quit. I think I probably got another 15, 20 episodes of Don't Starve, The Long Dark in me, just because I do enjoy playing the game and hanging out for a little while. However, we're probably going to want to look for an exit point on that series pretty soon, because we're going to get to the point where we basically take care of everything on the map and there's nothing left to do. And at that point, it just feels like treading water to me, and I really, really try not to do that here. But anyways, I like The Long Dark. It's one of my favorite games of all time, and I do like the way the map is forming up. I think they've done a really, really good job at making the exploration rewarding. Like, you feel like you're finding stuff all the time in game. And so I'm still having a good time with it. We'll see how far it runs, and we'll see what maps we get to. But once we fully explored and looted everything, I'll probably bid it adieu. But we probably got another week or 2 left in The Long Dark, I would assume. Mordheim, that is the series right there. Mordheim is the stuff. I'm having a good time with it. Mordheim, I'm having trouble with the pacing. I don't really know what I want to do with Mordheim as far as a series, but as far as the game goes, I pretty much like everything that they have on offer, aside from the fact that they haven't put orcs into the game. I think that the omission of orcs was a major, major mistake. Orcs and dwarves are the 2 armies I play if I have a choice. And unfortunately, neither of them ever gets included in, like, any Warhammer game, aside from Blood Bowl. For whatever reason with Blood Bowl, they're always in those games, but I don't really like Blood Bowl that much. It's okay. I will play Blood Bowl if there's no other, like, Warhammer Fantasy offering, but I much prefer Mordheim. I actually enjoy it quite a bit more, which I'm surprised to find, because I'd never played Mordheim before I did this series on the channel. I had never played the tabletop version. It's just, whenever you get into something with Games Workshop, it's too expensive. Like, anytime I sit down and I start thinking about the fact that I want to play a Games Workshop game in tabletop, I'm like, well, that's going to be $500 gone. Like, it's just so expensive to start any of their games, and then you got to paint, and then you got to do all that stuff. And so it's just such a huge time investment on top of a cash investment just to get playing. Then in general, I tend to avoid Games Workshop stuff now unless it comes fully packaged or if it's already like done and taken care of. I did go through a phase where I spent like all day, every day painting my miniatures and stuff like that. But I looked back at the collection, what's left of it anyways, that I haven't gotten rid of, and like most of it is still unpainted. It's just like it takes so long for each model. I remember it used to take me an evening for each model. I'd sit down at probably about 6 o'clock with a beer, and I'd like put a movie on. I put like a stack of movies by the TV, and I just put movies on, and I would just do like one Space Marine over like hours. And it would take me forever to get him just the way that I liked him because I wanted to put the battle damage on there. I wanted to get like the little scuff marks and everything, and it's because I put too much effort into them, I think. I think the people that just like mash them out and they do like an adequate job of painting to where it looks good on first notice, but if you look really, really close, it's kind of iffy. I think those people have a lot more fun with it because they can just like paint it real fast and just be like, all right, let's play. And so, Mordheim. Anyways, back to the subject at hand. I'm rambling again. Mordheim I like a lot. I really dislike the army selection in the game, though. I don't really like what they chose. I think that Skaven are an okay choice, but I don't really like the Imperium, I don't really like Chaos, and I don't really like Sisters of Sigmar either. None of those factions are ones that I would play IRL. I wouldn't spend money on them anyways. I'd definitely spend money on Orcs, though, because they're the superior army for manly men. And I also like the Dwarves. And so about the time that they add those in a DLC, I think it'll revitalize the game for me. I like it a lot, though. That's the thing, is that I'm not bored with the game. I'm enjoying just playing it based on the mechanics. I like the way that the game is often a scramble in between grabbing things you need and then also deciding when you want to fight. I do think that the AI in the game has a problem with just rushing you. Like, the AI doesn't really seem to pay attention to secondary objectives, and it doesn't really seem to care about Wordstone or anything like that. In a real Mordheim league/game, all the other players would be doing the same thing that I'm doing in my games, where they'd be running around trying to gather nodes and really just sort of trying to keep the combat limited until they know that they've got the things that they need in order to go through. Whereas with the video game, when we're playing single player, it feels like they just rush straight at you, and so you've got limited amounts of time. I do wish that maybe they would give different AI to different factions. I realize it's very, very difficult, though, to program AI for strategy games just because you've got to take into account every possible action you could take on every possible turn. And so what most developers end up doing, for example, the AI in Shadowrun, the new Shadowrun games by Harebrained, the AI started out pretty bad in the first game. It got moderately better in the second game. And in the third game, it started to actually do like smart stuff a lot of the time. And so it takes a long time to refine an engine and get the AI to the point where they do things that you want them to do like a human would do it. And so most early AI systems tend to focus on either whoever has the lowest health, whoever is the weakest, whoever has the lowest dodge rating. Like, it looks at particular stats, and then it kind of jumps in on those in dog piles when that might not actually be a prudent choice. And so anyways, I think Mordheim's AI could definitely use a little bit of work, but aside from that, the single-player campaign's a lot of fun. That first single-player mission, though, oh my god, that thing took that was an ordeal. I was getting stressed by the end of that one. I was like, oh, my heart hurts. I don't want to play anymore. I gotta go lay down and drink some tea with like a candle lit or something, because this thing's gonna kill me. It's gonna give me a damn coronary infarction. So anyways, I like Mordheim a lot. I'm waiting to see the DLCs, though. I really want more armies to be added. I'd love to see more customization options. There's a couple different areas where I think the game could do a little bit better. And I'd like to see new weapons. I'd like to see new customization options. I'd like to see new armies. But for right now, I think Clean and Polish is the name of the game because they just released the 1.0, and so maybe I'm putting my expectations too high for like a smaller indie developer who's also operating under the auspices of a production company owned by Games Workshop, who may not be very forgiving with like timelines and kind of money crunches and things of that nature. So anyways, I assume the licensing on Games Workshop's games must be pretty gnarly, because Games Workshop is a company that loves to make money. Like, all companies love to make money, but Games Workshop takes it to like a whole new level. I imagine that their CEOs just like roll on tables full of money and be like, "Wee, 6-cent figurines that we sell for $40 a piece. Wee!" And they just have so much fun with it. That's how I imagine the board of directors at Games Workshop. That's how it has to be. There's no way. I've seen the business decisions they make, and they're almost always consumer unfriendly. And so I assume if they're the production company, or if they're in control of the production company that's running the development team, it's got to be pretty, like, whip on back. But yeah, I like Mordheim a lot. I haven't decided on a breakoff point for the series yet. I mean, it's fairly safe. Every series we have going right now is pretty safe just because there's nothing else coming out. And so I was like, well, yeah, I could cut a series, but what else am I going to play? You know what I mean? It's problematic because the indie genre is kind of dead right now. There's not a whole lot coming out. I may choose to focus on something, or I may just cut videos for a while until it picks back up, and I may just stream like 5 or 6 hours a day. I haven't really decided yet. kind of on the fence about. It's very, very difficult to make decisions when it comes down to like your long-term career choices. Don't Starve debuted today, and when I say that, it's going to be yesterday because you're going to see this video tomorrow. However, with Don't Starve Shipwrecked, I'm really, really impressed with the game so far. I think they've taken the things. It's always nice for me to play a new Clay game, because Clay always does a really, really good job of like varying up the way things function. And so what I mean by that is that like vanilla Don't Starve is very different from Reign of Giants, is very, very different from Shipwrecked. And every single time they give you like a different motif of gameplay selections, and so like the range of gameplay options changes each time. So with Shipwrecked, it's very kind of like Stranded Deep in that there's little islands, you hop in between them, and there's weird things on each island, there's different biomes on each island, and you kind of just got to chart the whole thing out and figure out where all the little things are that you want to have. Whereas with Reign of Giants, the map was very, very sprawly. It went on like forever. It felt like it took a long time to explore. And then there's the underground realm as well. And then with vanilla Don't Starve, it was kind of just them like playing with ideas and throwing darts at the board and seeing what stuck and seeing what worked, adding new seasons and the basic tenets of gameplay. And so whereas I found that Reign of Giants was basically a refinement of vanilla, with Shipwrecked, it seems like they're trying to do something completely different while using the same gameplay mechanics, and I like that a lot. First couple episodes went up. Don't forget to check out the series. I'm having a lot of fun with it for right now. From what I could tell, it's quite a bit more challenging than Reign of Giants. Reign of Giants, I think, escalates a lot faster, so by like day 20 in Reign of Giants, you have major problems if you haven't done certain things. Shipwrecked, I'm actually on like day 20 or 25, and it seems to be okay aside from like some typhoon winds and like some random monsoon season type stuff. It all seems to be well inside the parameters of what I would expect. There's been a couple of hostile species, but by and large, most of them seem to be neutral or passive, whereas in Reign of Giants, everything seems to be just aggressive, flat out. Everything just wants to kill you. And so I think that makes Shipwrecked a little bit more of like a poke it with a stick and see what happens type game, whereas Reign of Giants is more paranoia and just like pointing a spear at everything and being like, what are you? You know, they've changed it up quite a bit, and I'm enjoying it a lot. The food system's changed as well. Farming is a lot more difficult. I've had a lot of trouble finding where I can get dookie from, and so because there's not a whole lot of stuff on the wiki yet either, the game just came out like 5 or 6 days ago, I'm trying to focus on just figuring out the basic gameplay, and if we die early, we die early. That's cool. It gives us another chance to try out some new characters. Don't know how long that series is going to run either, probably till we die or until things get so intense that I just get too stressed and I can't handle it anymore. But that's cool. With Just Cause 3, I think I'm going to shelve Just Cause 3 just because, I'm trying to be punny right there, I think public interest was a little bit low. Just taking it a look at the way that it debuted, it did okay. I may pick it up next week. I'm going to leave it and I'm going to kind of watch and see what happens over the next couple days. That was one of those ones I had to take a business decision on though, because anytime we do a game which it's just open world, like sandbox blowing stuff up, it's difficult to tell how audience reception is going to be just because you have to strike a good balance in between like storyline stuff and sandbox stuff. And if you don't strike that balance just perfectly, you're either rushing the game, or B, you're taking too long to get anything done at all. And so whereas I like Just Cause 3, it has some performance issues that are kind of hurting the game for me right now. It drops down to like 25 frames per second randomly for like no apparent reason a lot of the time. The load times can get a little bit iffy for me. And so I've also had a lot of crashing and bugs with it. And so just the first 6 episodes were kind of a stressful experience for me, just getting them cut and recorded. But I'll tell you what, I'll keep an eye on it over the next couple days. Maybe I'll cut a few more episodes on Monday when I get back into the office. And I'm going to be gone this weekend. I'm recording this and then I'm taking off right after this. So anyways, when I get back into the office on Monday, I may try to play around with it and see if I can do like a couple more episodes. And I'll just run a bunch of series at the same time and just be like, and not worry about it. I don't know, maybe raise my workload a little bit. But for right now, I've got it shelved just because I don't know what I want to do with it. I do like the game, but all around, I think it's a little bit worse than... I do think that it's worse than Just Cause 2. I'll say that. Just Cause 2 felt more polished. I think the experience was better. I liked the progression with the little collectibles and stuff better too, where you were always hunting the little crates and trying to get the bits and the parts so you could build new guns. I don't like how the new game has mandatory challenges, so you have no choice. You have to play that racing game, otherwise you can't upgrade your cars. You have to play that shooting game, otherwise you can't upgrade your guns. And I just don't like that. I really like the free-form, kind of free-flowing system they had in the previous game better. I feel like it was a mistake when they did that. But, you know, Just Cause 3 is one of those games that I'd probably give like a 6 or a 7 out of 10. And that's only, I mean, part of it's just because the last game was so good, and so it set expectations so high. And really, it just has not lived up to it so far, and so I'm a little bit bummed out about it. Don't know if I can keep my enthusiasm up for the series now that I've played the first 3 or 4 hours of it. I keep waiting for it to get better, but I might wait for some patches or something. I don't know. I just don't know with that one. We've also got, I mean, Fallout is still running, and Fallout is still doing perfectly fine. Fallout is healthy and banging along. I'm still enjoying the game. I'm probably going to focus on storyline stuff from here on in, though. I never really intended to have that series run out to like 100 episodes. If I could keep it to like 60 or 70, I think that would be really, really acceptable. I'm not really sure how long the storyline is, so I may sit down and maybe do a little bit of like cheaty work and take a look. If I realize that I have like 5 episodes of storyline left, if I really, really mash it out, then I won't do that. We'll go do some side stuff until we get enough episodes in for me to feel like it was a really successful series. But as of right now, actually, I don't think I've given my thoughts on Fallout 4 so far. I don't think it's actually been on a weekend review. And so with Fallout 4, I like the game. I like it a lot. I don't know if I like it as much as New Vegas. And I think part of it is the engine swap. Like, the engine swap has changed a lot of things. I think that Fallout 4 has ditched a lot of the iconic things that make Fallout Fallout. And whether that's a good or a bad decision is largely going to be based on subjective perception, I guess. For me, it's a bad thing because for me, Fallout is a very, very nostalgic thing. I like seeing those things that I recognize from previous games. So, for example, like the 10mm semi-auto or the 10mm auto pistol not looking the same. Little things like that tend to bug me, or like the combat armor, it doesn't look the same anymore. I get that you have to shake things up graphically, but for me, a big part of the mystique and allure of Fallout is that I get that nostalgia in there, because I used to play 1 and 2 when I was younger, and they were one of my favorite games of all time. That and Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, those were like the 4 games. Fallout 1 and 2 and Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 were the 4 games that ate up so many thousands of hours for me growing up that I can't even really tell you how long I played them all. It was just an obsession for me with those 4 games, and so I play them for nostalgia. Other people just play them flat out for the gameplay, and if you're judging it based on that, I think the gameplay is better. Like, oh my god, Fallout 4's gunplay is so much better, the progression is better, the exploration still feels pretty good. I love the changes that they've made to power armor so that it's not like this endgame thing that you get. It's this thing that, it's kind of like a vehicle. It makes your life easier, but it's got limited fuel, and you kind of got to maintain it, and you upgrade it along the way, and by no means does it make you invulnerable like it did in previous games. And so I think they made a lot of really, really good choices. The storyline so far seems a little bit meh to me, but it's Bethesda. I mean, I don't expect like Interplay or like BioWare level storytelling from Bethesda, to be honest. If they were capable of it, it seems like they folded a lot of the BioWare playlist in there. Like, there's a lot of things in the new Fallout that remind me directly of something that they would do like in Dragon Age, or it reminds me a lot of like Mass Effect, for example. But aside from that, I don't really expect like amazing storytelling from the Bethesda team. I never have. I mean, Morrowind was the last time where I felt like the storyline was like, wow, and even that was kind of an average fantasy storyline, you know what I mean? God, that's a game that I haven't played in a while. I haven't played Morrowind in forever. I played Oblivion about a year ago, 2 years ago, and finally I sat down and I beat it, and I did like 100% of the content. I sat down and I mashed out like everything. I went town to town, just purposefully doing all of the things. And I had a good time with it. I actually enjoyed it a lot more in retrospect than I figured I would. I hadn't played it since it had released then. Still haven't finished Skyrim. I need to sit down and do that. I've never beaten Skyrim. I've never beaten it. I've cleared out like 100% of the map and done a ton of stuff, and then by the time I got back around to the real game, I was just like, well, kind of bored now and I don't want to do it anymore. I'll probably sit down and mod the hell out of it the next time I play, and that'll be pretty sweet. But Fallout 4, I feel it's like, I would give it like a 9 or a 10 out of 10. It's a good game. There are just certain nostalgia aspects of it that they've omitted that makes me kind of sad, but I can't dock it points for that because that would be a dishonest thing to do. I think that Fallout 4 is a tremendous advancement and is by far the best Bethesda Fallout that they've made so far. The gunplay is straight ripped out of Wolfenstein. It feels great. It feels very solid. All the guns feel like they have kick and weight. I still haven't figured out if it's hit scan or if I actually have to lead bullets or not or anything like that, but luckily it doesn't really matter because I think it's hit scan. It seems like it's hit scan to me. If you don't know the difference, hit scan means you point the gun at somebody in a game, and the second you pull a trigger, it runs a laser from the gun to the thing you're trying to shoot, and if you hit it, that's a hit, and it's instantaneous. It means that you don't have to lead or anything like that, whereas games like, you take Arma, or you take Battlefield, you've got to lead people because the bullets actually have travel time and physics and things like that. There's merits to both. I think if you're firing at really, really small objects on a screen, a la Tribes or something like that, hit scan is by far superior because you would never hit anything if you used real bullet trajectory and stuff in a game like Tribes. Things are just moving around too fast. There's too much chaos going on. You're definitely not going to lead and hit anything there at a long range. It would make a sniper's life nightmarish. But at short to medium range games, I think you'll be alright if you just go with, trajectory, force people to lead and stuff like that. Actually, I think Tribes Ascend got the perfect ground where some guns are hit scan and some guns are not, to balance it. Like, most of the long range weapons seem to be hit scan since you're firing at like 1 pixel on a screen anyways, and then all the stuff that's kind of short to medium range, you got to lead it and run it the way that you normally would. that's going to be it for the channel right now. I think I'm going to shelve. I didn't talk about System Shock. System Shock, I don't know. I got into it, but then I just wasn't feeling it by the time we got through, and I think generally the fact that I wasn't feeling it started to bleed through to the audience as well. Didn't seem like something that a lot of people were interested in. I'm still waiting on, so things that are coming up in the future, there's really not that much. Normally at this point, I'd tell you what I was looking forward to, you know, on future releases, but as of right now, there really is not like anything. Like, I'm looking at my list right now, and I mean, up until the middle of December, I think there's a couple of indie games that I might throw down on for a little bit and just do like mini-series on. There's Era, the fantasy settlement sim that I'm kind of interested in, but it looks like it could go like in either direction. There's, you know, No Turning Back. Looks like it could go in either direction. I know I've got a key for that one, but I haven't played it yet. We'll check it out. Turnover will probably get a little bit of play, but aside, there's not a lot of games here that I think I could go 20, 30 episodes on. Overfall I'm excited about, so we'll probably go all in on Overfall. I already talked to the developers about that. But at the moment, it's really, really slow as far as things are concerned on YouTube. So anyways, stay put. I'm probably going to be streaming a lot more. If it ends up getting to the point where YouTube is not satisfying needs for me, I will probably scale back video production to like 2 videos a day, and we'll just kind of do stuff until gaming picks back up again, and then I'll just make up the extra time, maybe streaming an extra couple hours a day. I don't know. I haven't decided whether or not any of my plans or actions are going to be concrete yet. Keeping a positive outlook though, like really, actually I've been not looking at it at all, to be fair, just to keep my mind off of it, just to keep myself focused on the task at hand. I haven't been looking, but just I want to keep everybody inside the loop and know what's going on. The channel is very, very slow right now, and I keep hoping games will come out so that I can dig myself out of it. We did it last summer. Last summer it was very, very slow on the run up into summer, and then a bunch of games came out and we popped right back into place. We're just waiting for that pop to happen again right now. And so until we get like a big stream of games where they're coming out like every week or so, and we just start hitting those new releases, just kind of treading water, keeping things real. My name is Splattercat. Thank you for hanging out with me. This is the Weekend Review where we talk about channel business and the way things are going, what I'm planning on doing with the various series that I have on the channel. This is funded by the Patreon supporters. If you'd like to be one of them, you can check the link out down below in the description. There are rewards that you get out. I think the next reward that people are moving towards is Splattercat with friends, and so essentially I'll just like contact YouTubers and we'll just sit down and do like a podcast thing like once a month or maybe twice a month. I haven't really decided on it just yet. It'll depend on how difficult it is. I'll probably play it by ear for the first month or two and figure out how hard it is to get a hold of other YouTubers. They'll be big, they'll be small. I don't really care how big the channels are. It's just people that I've met along the way, and so it'll be any channel that I've run into that's, you know, between any amount of metrics. If I'm friends with them, they can pop on by and they can say what's up. But if you wanted to support the channel, that's how you do it. When you support the channel, you get new series like this one. So anyways, I'll see you all in 2 weeks with the next Weekend Review. Hi do, everybody.